So I have been open, honest, and consistent, as I often try to be on the show, on how I feel about Arizona. And I don't think they're missing a bowl game this year. I also don't think they're contending for a Big 12 championship this year. And some Arizona fans are not keen on me when I say that. They did pick up a running back in the transfer portal recently. Did not hate that move whatsoever. But I got what you would call a hot take from AHR Zool, anyway, who thinks that Arizona can go unbeaten. Now, on the surface, this is a patently ridiculous notion. I am unaware of any time in which a team with a preseason win total of 7.5 went undefeated. I would imagine every undefeated team in the regular season in college football has had a preseason win total of at least 9.5. Vegas, believe it or not, this may shock some of you out there. Vegas knows what they are doing. They do not make that many mistakes. They make them. I thought Arizona's preseason win total last year was the easiest over in the Pac-12. It was 4.5. I looked at that and said, oh, give me a break. That is just way over. Way over. They went 9-3. They went 9-3. So Vegas has whiffed on them before. I don't think they've whiffed on them here. It opened at 8.5, by the way, dropped down to 7.5. Some say the influence of this show on the gambling market is extensive. There are multiple data points to indicate as much. I'm just saying. Starting 5-0 alone is going to be a tall task for Arizona. Because this schedule to begin the year, yikes. They got to play 3 road games in a 5-week span across 4 games with a bye. They start with a cupcake against New Mexico. Poor New Mexico. Poor New Mexico. They're going to be on ESPN. They're going to go to Arizona Stadium, and Bronco Mendenhall's team has the lowest win total I have ever seen. Literally. I have never seen a win total of 1.5. I need to double check that it's still there, because 1.5... 1.5. Oh no. That is an oh no, as Tom Haverford from Parks and Recreation would say. New Mexico win total. Wait for it. Oh, it's been bumped up to 2.5. Should have hit the over while you could. I also said that there might be a little bit of value there. Okay. Anyway, back to Arizona here. Going undefeated is patently absurd. But what can they actually accomplish here? That is going to depend on how they navigate the first half of their schedule, because they open with New Mexico. Okay, that'll be a win. Then they host NAU. Okay, that'll be a win. Then in a non-conference game, oddly enough, even though they're in the same conference, they play at Kansas State. Then they get a bye. Then they get to go at Utah. Now, they're going to be supremely rested for that game, because that Kansas State game is on a Friday. It's going to be on Fox, by the way. It's going to be an utterly fantastic game in Manhattan at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. And right now, if you put a gun to my head and said you have to pick the game, I'm taking Kansas State. I like Chris Kleiman's team. I think they're really, really good. And they're a bona fide Big 12 contender, more so than Arizona. So Kansas State, but it's on a Friday, so you get an extra day and a bye, and then you have to go at Utah. Good luck. Good luck. You know how many teams have won at Rice-Eccles Stadium since 2018 when fans are actually in the stands? 1. Just 1. Just 1, which is a great game, by the way. If you've never played it, it's a collaborative team game. You're trying to get somebody to say a specific word, and you have to put down just one word. And if you have duplicates, they get canceled. It's a really fun game. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. Anyway, so those 2 games alone, if you go 1-1 there, you're doing great. Come back home against Texas Tech. I hope you don't overlook the Red Raiders in that spot. I wouldn't. Then the next week, you go at BYU. Now, that's a game you should win. But here's a game, and look, Arizona fans, you know deep down in my heart, I love and appreciate you. I would be a little bit scared of that October 19th game against Colorado. Spencer, you're just trying to hype up Colorado. Well, Colorado fans also think I don't like Colorado. Well, not all of them. Depends on who you ask. But Colorado is not a team that is to be trifled with. That is a bowl team. That is not a Big 12 contender, but that is a bowl team. I think that game, after playing at BYU, and you don't have a big rival looming the next week, it's West Virginia, which, by the way, not an easy football game. Then they go at UCF, not an easy football game. These are just, this is a gauntlet of a Big 12 schedule. I would honestly be more inclined to peg Arizona as a Big 12 title contender if their schedule wasn't so absolutely atrociously hard. Now, the last 3 games of the season, much more manageable. Host Houston, at TCU, host ASU. Should win at least 2, if not 3, of those games. We'll see what TCU is and whether or not they can bounce back under Sonny Dykes this year and their new defensive coordinator, Andy Avalos. But the first half of that schedule, look, if Arizona starts out 4-2, honestly, that might be better than what I end up picking them on a game-by-game basis. Because at Kansas State and at Utah, I have a really, really tough time. I have a tough time. And between Texas Tech at BYU, which will be a crazy environment, fans show up over there. I've been to that stadium to call a game before, and their fans are outstanding. I don't think their team's going to be very good because their quarterback, I mean, you could talk about having a quarterback gap in that game. Oh, goodness. BYU might have the worst quarterback room in the Big 12, and Arizona has one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 in Noah Fifita. That's a big gap. So when you have a quarterback deficit like that, it's tough to win the football game. I can see Arizona winning all 3 of those games. 2-1 is also not an unreasonable stretch from October 5th to October 19th. So as I go through the schedule, I see at least 3 losses in there, maybe 4. I think the ceiling, to answer the fundamental question here, the first question was, Spencer, do you think Arizona could go unbeaten? And no. That's just not going to happen. I'm sorry, Arzul, to burst your bubble. Arizona's not going unbeaten this year. They're not going to get close to it. Best case scenario is 9-3. That is with multiple things going right. I would predict Arizona to go 7-5 before I predict 9-3 because this schedule is so brutal. It's not like I think they're going to be terrible or miss a bowl game. But think about how many teams on here. Kansas State, Utah, 2 preseason odds favorites to win the Big 12. You play those teams consecutively. You've got a bye sandwich in between. Whoop-de-doo. Texas Tech, not a bad football team. In fact, a good one. They have had a fantastic, you talk about having a great transfer portal offseason. Texas Tech has been great. I would not overlook Colorado, who Arizona almost lost to. Granted, it was on the road, but Colorado's a better team this year. Then you come back home, play West Virginia. Neil Brown and Garrett Green won 9 games together last year. They're probably going to win at least 6-7 this year, if not more. And then you go at UCF, and that's a team that people have high hopes for in the Big 12 this season. So I think that schedule for Arizona is among the toughest. Colorado's is also fairly difficult. I have not done a Big 12 comparison of who's got the hardest schedule, but man, Arizona's got to be up there. Arizona's got to be up, especially if you factor in what is essentially a 10th conference game in the Big 12, and it happens to be Kansas State. I mean, you couldn't have picked a Cincinnati in there or Houston as a non-con. They play Houston in the conference slate, but that's tough. That's really, really tough. So I think the absolute ceiling for Arizona is 9-3, and that's if every single thing were to go, not every single thing, obviously, but if more things than not were to go very, very right and bounce Arizona's way and they get a couple breaks, they go 9-3. But I think this is a minimum 4-loss team, and it's why I don't see them as a Big 12 contender. This episode is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality candidates that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. It's why 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Good price. Terms and conditions apply.